Namaste everyone. Welcome to the science section of CTET paper 2. I hope you are all are doing well and with full dedication you must be preparing to the CTET examination. Now, before starting our today's session, let me discuss about the CTET science section. In paper 2, we have 30 questions from science section. And in that, 20 questions will come from your content part, that is related to the school science content, which includes biological science, chemistry and physical science. And 10 marks will come under pedagogical issues. And in today's video, we are going to start with one of the topic in the science content, that is science section, that is natural phenomena. Before going into this topic, have you all wondered why there is lightning, thunder, cyclones, floods, drought? These are all different phenomena which we observe in our daily life. And you must have also seen your students wondering and trying to know more about it. Now, why these concepts are more important in CTET examination? Because in CTET exam, the examiner will try to see if the teacher knows these concepts and will the teacher be able to transact this class in the for the students, and also the examiner also sees if the teacher will be able to manage the class and apply this knowledge in the daily life situations. So now with this brief about the paper and the understanding about this topic, let us go into this topic, that is natural phenomena. Now, what is a natural phenomena? First, let us discuss what is natural phenomena. A natural phenomena is any occurrence in the nature which is not caused by humans, that is example weather, biological processes and natural disaster. So weather means how the seasons are changing or how the climate is changing, all this, and biological process like decomposition, digestion, respiration, all these are natural phenomena, and natural disasters like floods, drought, tsunami, cyclone, all this comes under the natural phenomena. So this is simply to understand what is a natural phenomena. It is nothing but it is any occurrence in the nature which is not caused by the humans but will have an effect on the human life is called a natural phenomena. With this understanding about the natural phenomena, let us go into the next topic, that is the first subtopic in this chapter, that is atmospheric pressure and wind. As we all know, air exerts pressure, and the pressure exerted by the weight of the air on the earth's surface is called atmospheric pressure. Now, with which device we measure atmospheric pressure? That is called a barometer. Now, this is all fine, atmospheric pressure, but the movement of air always occurs from a high pressure area to low pressure area, and such moving air, the fast moving air current is called as wind. Now, there is always a difference in the pressure in different places. That is how the wind or the air moves from one place to another. So, if the wind speed is more, that is always accompanied by the reduced air pressure. The greater the difference between the pressure, that means the high pressure area and low pressure area, the speed of the wind will be greater. So, if the more the difference in the pressure, the more speed will be the wind. That means it's always accompanied by the reduced air pressure. So, here the important terms in this are atmospheric pressure, wind, and also the why the wind current is caused, that is because of the difference in the pressure, high pressure to low pressure. Now let's go into the next concept, that is why this causes in pressure differences, why there is high pressure area, why there is low pressure area. First reason for this is unequal heating, because the sun, there will be a difference in the air pressure in different regions because of the amount of solar radiation that is received by that area. Like example, in the equator, the amount of radiation received will be greater than the amount of radiation received in the poles or the near the poles, that is poles. So that is why there will be always a pressure difference. So first reason for this causes in air pressure difference is unequal heating by the sun. Next important concept here is wind currents. So how the wind currents are formed? That is because always when the air gets heated up, the warmer air rises to the top and creating a low pressure on the land. That is how the near the equator, since the equator receives more solar radiation, the warmer air always rises up there and it starts moving towards the poles, while the cooler air near the poles will move towards the equator. This movement of the air from poles to the equator and equator to the poles will cause wind current. Next, so in the summer the land heats up quickly. That means what will happen to the air in the upon the land? It warms up quickly, and as we know the warmer air raises up, so creating a low pressure area on the land. On the other side, if you see near the sea, the water will not be heated quickly, so the air above the water also will not get heated quickly. So there will be a high pressure on the sea, but there will be a low pressure on the land. So the cool moist air will move from high pressure area, that is from the sea, towards the land, and these are the seasonal winds, or these are also called as monsoon winds. And this monsoon winds will rise up as it gets heated and they will form the clouds and we get the monsoons. So we have learned about one is the wind current and the other is monsoon winds. Now there is one more phenomena which is very important in this topic, that is land breeze and sea breeze. The breezes are the winds that change direction between the land and the sea due to the unequal heating and cooling are called as land breeze and sea breeze. As you can see in the picture, it is clearly said sea breeze is always on the daytime and land breeze is always on the night time. So why this in the daytime we observe sea breeze is because it is very similar to the phenomena which we have just discussed, the monsoon winds. Here what will happen is during the daytime the land gets heated up faster and the air gets rises and it creates a low pressure on the land. But whereas on the high pressure cooler area is near the sea, because the water will not get heated up quickly, so it will have a high pressure cooler area. That is the reason why you will observe near the coastal areas during the summers, during the daytime you still get a wind that is cooler, because the wind from the high pressure area from the sea will move towards the land, and this is called as sea breeze. Here the questions can be asked like which among the following is the condition for the sea breeze, or these kind of questions can be asked, and also they may give you the exact definition of the breeze, like how it is moving from a sea to the land, and they can ask which kind of breeze it is. These kind of questions can be expected. And when it comes to the land breeze happens during the night as land cools down faster than the sea, because the water takes time to heat it up. In the same way water also takes time to cool down. So because of that the temperature on the water will be slightly higher than the temperature on the ground, that is the land. So because of that the water on the air on the water will have the low pressure and the air on the land will have the high pressure, so cooler land. That is why now the air will move in the opposite direction from land to the ocean or the sea, and this is called as land breeze. So please remember, in sea breeze air moves from sea to land, and in land breeze air moves from land to sea. So wherever the low pressure is there, the air moves towards the low pressure area to fill in that gap. Now let's go into the next phenomena, that is thunderstorm. So what is a thunderstorm? You might have heard thunderstorms. Mostly people living in the coastal areas might have heard about thunderstorm. It is a fast moving storm with high speed winds, lightning, thunder and heavy rain. Why? Now the students mostly will confuse here what is lightning and what is thunder. Lightning is because of the charges, the electrical charges build up and lightning is produced, that is what you see, and thunder is the sound which we hear. And thunderstorm will always be followed by heavy rain or hailstorms and also stronger winds. Mostly it occurs during the monsoons. So first the phenomena is like this, how the thunderstorms are forming. First it is the heating of the surface. So during the summer, the sun heats up the land or the water surface and warming the air above it. So because the warm air raises upwards, the due to a process of convection, the warm air raises upwards. Now when the air rises upwards, it cools and water vapor condenses to form the clouds, and this is called condensation. And next step is the cloud growth. So as the water vapor is condensing in the clouds grows vertically into cumulonimbus clouds, and this term is very important in the questions for thunderstorm. So these clouds are responsible for the thunderstorm, cumulonimbus clouds. Then next is lightning and precipitation. So once the clouds have formed, the electrical charges will build up and that leads to the lightning, thunder, heavy rain, hail or strong winds. So this is the formation of a thunderstorm. What are the safety measures we have to take during the thunderstorms? For example, if you are stuck indoors, you have to stay away from the plumbing. We should not take showers, wash dishes or running water, as plumbing can conduct electricity, as water is a good conductor of electricity. Then we should also ensure that all our electronic devices, that means our computers, any electronical appliances like oven, mobile phone charger, TV, all this have to be unplugged, and we have to, so that the damage of the power sockets is avoided. And we should also avoid corded phones, that is the wired phones, but the wireless phones doesn't have any issue, but the wired phone should be avoided. Then keep clear of openings. That means we have to stay away from the windows, doors and concrete floors or walls. This is all the instructions if you are indoors. But if you are outdoors, you are on a road, what you have to do? Never lie flat on the ground. Always you have to crouch down in a tight ball like position, so that with your head should be tucked and your hands over your ears. Make yourself a small target as much as possible. You should not just lay down on the ground, or just instead of standing on the ground, you have to always crouch down like a, so that your target or the small you'll make yourself as small target as possible. Then you should not stand near the trees or any metal poles or any metal fences, because they can conduct the lightning. Next, you have to avoid getting into the water, or if you are already in the water, just we have to get out of that water. We should not be in the pond, lake or swimming pools immediately, as water conducts the electricity. And if your hair stands up or if you feel your skin is tingle, lightning is about to strike, and drop to a crouch immediately. When you observe these changes, like your hair starts standing up or you are feeling skin tingle, that means lightning is about to hit and you have to crouch down. Next, if you are in a vehicle, if you are in a car or any vehicle which is having a safe roof, then you can be inside the car, you can close all the windows and you can sit inside the vehicle. But if you are in a two-wheeler like bicycles, bikes or scooters, then it is always we have to get down from the vehicle and we should go to the safer shelter. So these are the safety measures during the thunderstorm. So these kind of questions also can be asked in the CTET, like which among the following should be the safety measure that to protect from the thunderstorm. These kind of questions can be asked. And also some situations like if your hair stands up, what does it indicate, what should be the next step? These kind of questions also can be asked in the CTET paper 2 science. Next phenomena is cyclone. So we all might have heard the word cyclone many times. Now what is a cyclone? It is a large violent storm that forms over a warm ocean waters with a strong wind spiraling inward around a calm low pressure center called the eye. In the eye of the cyclone, there will be a low pressure zone, and because of that the water in outside will have the will have raised to the height of 12 meters, and because the water will raise to that height, most of the times this water will enter into the coastal areas and they will cause severe damages to the properties as well as the coastal land and people living in the coastal areas. And what are the effects of this cyclone? First thing is, one is floods, and that is storm surge, which we have seen, that is the water will enter into the coastal areas and they will cause severe damage. And because of the cyclone, the wind will be very high and that may also uproot the trees, and it also damages the buildings and infrastructure around the coast. And because of the cyclone, there will be heavy rainfall in the surrounding areas also. So this is cyclone. Cyclone is nothing but it is violent storm system that forms over a warm ocean water, and it is having the spiraling winds inward, and inside it is always calm. That is, the eye of the cyclone will be calm, it will be low pressure area, but because of that you will see the water rising to the heights at the outside. Then next one is tornado. It is a violent spinning storm in shape of dark funnel with a narrow end on the land. You can see, and tornadoes will be smaller to the cyclone, but the effect caused by the tornado will be higher because the tornado speed may reach up to 500 km per hour and can destroy whatever comes in the path of the tornado. Then tornado is also similar, like it is a dark funnel kind of a thing and the narrow end will be on the land. Then water spout. So the tornadoes that are formed on the sea are called as water spouts. And next one is, there are also different names for the cyclone depending on the place in which it is formed. For example, if the cyclone is formed on the Gulf of Mexico, Caribbean Sea or Western Pacific Ocean, it is called as hurricane. If suppose the same cyclone is formed in the China Sea, West Pacific Ocean, then it is called as typhoons. In India, what are the most cyclone prone states are Gujarat, Andhra Pradesh, Kerala, Maharashtra, Odisha and Tamil Nadu. So these coastal areas are most prone to the cyclone prone states in the India. Next we will see what is lightning. So we have learnt about cyclone, thunderstorm. Now we will see what is lightning. If you see, a lightning is sudden flash of light and sound during a thunderstorm. When we have discussed thunderstorm also, we have seen a strong storm that is accompanied by lightning and thunder is called thunderstorm. So how lightning forms? If you observe, the warm air rises upwards and it will condense there and the water droplets will move downwards. When this phenomena is happening, the charges separate and you can see the plus and minus charges. The plus charges are on the top of the cloud and the negative charges are at the bottom. Then when the charges are building up, the lightning occurs and you can see the charges are now completely different. Like you can see on the land there is positive charge and on the sky, the cloud, it is negative charge. And what are the safety measures we have to follow if you observe lightning around? First thing is, if you are on a road or a travel, if you are going in a car, you have to be in the car, you can stop in the car, you have to close your windows and you have to wait in the car to reduce the lightning. And if you are outside, similar to what we have to do in the thunderstorm, we have to do the same thing. We have to squat down on the ground so that we will be a smaller target for the lightning to hit. And also we have to avoid the use of electrical appliances and the telephones. Next, to protect the lightning, to protect buildings from the lightning, the attack of lightning, the tall buildings usually will have a lightning rod that is called lightning conductor. Most of the towers will have this. Also in homes, also we have earthing done so that the structure of the building, the infrastructure will not be affected by the lightning. So what this lightning conductor do? The lightning conductor is, as you see in the image, it is like a thin rod, a thin metal rod, which will provide a safe space to conduct the charge safely, and it will transfer the charge to the electrical ground so that the building or the infrastructure will not be affected by the lightning conductor. So this lightning conductor is made up of a metal rod, and you will have it, the rod will be put inside the ground. If you can see, there is earthing done for the lightning conductor. So this is about the lightning. Next we have another natural phenomena, that is earthquakes. So what are these earthquakes? A sudden shaking or trembling of earth that lasts for a very short time is called as earthquake. So does this earthquake always happen, or will it happen only like occasionally? The earth's outer layer is made up of plates that are always moving. So when they are colliding or slightly past each other, these tremors will be occurring. But this will always be there, but always at a low intensity. Then major earthquakes are rare, but there is a thing like it cannot be predicted. What happens when earthquake comes? When earthquake comes, we can see it causes floods, landslides, volcanic eruptions and tsunamis. And where are the places where the earthquake can occur very frequently? It can occur near the plate boundaries. They are called as seismic zones or fault zones, where the chances of earthquakes will be more. Now, what are the effects of this earthquake? One is floods, one is landslide, one is volcanic eruption, and the other one is tsunami. So these four are the effects of the earthquake. We will see what is tsunami in the next slide, and before that we will see how these earthquakes are measured. So there is an instrument called seismogram. It will detect and record the seismic waves produced by the tremors, and it is used to the measuring the earthquakes. And when you will say the earthquake is more or it is greater, that is when you will see there is called a Richter scale. On this, if it is measured above 7, we will call it is a very destructive earthquake, and minor earthquakes are below 7, it is called as minor earthquakes. They may or they may not have the effects on the humans or the buildings or the infrastructure. So on the Richter scale, if it is above 7, it is called a very destructive earthquake. And here we have to also remember that Richter scale is a logarithmic scale. Next, now what we have to do if we are stuck in a earthquake? The safety measures we have to follow for the earthquake. First is, if the area is known for earthquakes, while building the home or while building any building, we have to see that the roofs will be very light and there will be a very flexible structures when we are building a home in a seismic zone. Then next, fire safety precautions should be there, firefighting equipment should be ready, and during an earthquake, if possible, we have to go and sit under a table, and we have to stay away from any heavy structures because of the tremors. It may be falling on the person. So we have to avoid those, better sit under a table and stay away from any heavy structures. And if you are in a vehicle, drive slowly, don't rush, and just get out of the vehicle. If you are in a vehicle, drive slowly to a clear area. Do not get out of the vehicle. Stay in the vehicle until the tremors are stopped. And stay calm during the earthquake instead of panicking. And instead of panicking, if you are staying calm, you can protect yourself and also others. So these are the safety measures for the earthquakes. The next one is flood. What are the causes for flood, or what is flood first in the first place? Flood is overflow of water that covers land temporarily. It is not permanently. The flood will go in few days or few hours depending on the flood, the amount or the intensity of the flood. Now what causes flood? The first thing is, it is because of the heavy rainfall. During a wet season, we may end up getting floods, and it also causes because if the dams are broken or if there is a collapse in the embankments, then also the flood can occur. And because of the tidal waves, the storm surges and hurricanes, also the flood occurs, and also the unplanned development in the cities. So if the floodplains are occupied and constructed, and during the rains in the monsoon, the floodplains, since they are occupied by the buildings, the water will have no place to go and the floods will be increasing. So these are some of the causes for the floods. Now, what are the effects caused by these floods? First is it will destruct the farmlands. So, we may see the crop loss will be there, the food will not be available, then loss of life as well as the property. If the flood is very sudden and there is no time for the people to go to a safe place, the lives of the people also may be lost, and there will be a loss in the property also. And it also damages the transport and communication systems. The wire connectivity may be lost and roads also may be damaged, and it also impacts the human settlements. So these are the effects of the floods. Now, if we have, what we have to do to avoid these floods? First, we have to protect our watersheds. We have to prevent deforestation and promote reforestation, because the trees also around the coast also stop the floods, and they will at least reduce the impact of the flood on the land. And we have to build strong river embankments so that the river water will not be overflowing during the wet season, that is monsoons. Then we have to also use retention structures to hold the run of water. So the water should not be just moving. We should have some retention structures where the water can be collected. Then we have to not use the floodplains for constructing a major buildings, but instead it can be used for a small recreation or agriculture only, so that even if it rains, the water will be having a space to go on the floodplains. Next, we have to also ensure that proper land use, planning and development should be there. Now, during the floods, what we have to do? We have to be following the official alerts. We can see when we are in that area which is having any cyclone effect or wind effect or flood effect, we will be getting mobile alerts from the government that there is an alert for this and you should not be going outside. So we have to be informed, we have to stay informed with those alerts, and we should always move to the higher ground if advised. Suppose if the building is of 2-3 floors, we have to shift to the highest floor instead of being at the ground floor. Then we have to keep essential supplies like emergency kit and essential food, so that we can survive even if the transportation and communication is cut. And do not cross the flooded areas. If there is already flood alert and if there is already flooded, try to avoid crossing those areas. So these are the things we have to do when we are hit with the flood. The next situation is quite opposite to this flood, that is drought. So if drought is called nothing but when suppose a place or a region is having rainfall below the average precipitation, and for a prolonged time we are having water shortage, then a place is said to be affected by the drought. So first thing is it will have precipitation below the average, and also for prolonged time we will have water shortages from any source. So this is the situation of drought. So why this drought is caused? First thing is because of the scarcity of the rainfall. Sometimes some seasons, or because of the weather and climate changes, the rainfall patterns may be changed and we may not receive the enough rainfall. That is one thing. Or some of the geographical areas are known for less rainfall. Then lack of irrigation to meet water needs. If there is no other modes of getting water, source of getting water for irrigation and for utilization of the humans, then also that situation is called drought. Then lack of proper rainwater harvesting methods. When it rains, if the water is not being stored or harvested properly, then that can also lead to the drought conditions when the rain is not there. Then we have lack of proper planning to manage the situation. For example, if there is a drought in a place and if the government or if the management is not able to handle the situation properly, whatever the water is already existing, is it used, and then the situation is also leads to the drought. Then the next cause is widespread deforestation reduces soil's ability to hold the water. If the trees are cut and if the lands are barren, the soil will lost its capacity to hold more water, and because of that also the drought can occur. And if there is no groundwater also, the droughts will be occurring, because if the population has increased and the more groundwater is being used or it is not replenished, then it also leads to the drought. Now, what are the safety measures or the safety measures we have to follow before the drought, or if the situation is a drought situation. First thing is we have to preserve the rainwater and groundwater sources for future drought situations. If you know that a place is drought prone, we have to preserve the rainwater when and where it rains. And then we have to use very proper rainwater harvesting methods, and also we should educate the people about the value of water to prevent wastage and misuse during the season of rain or when the water is available. And we should also introduce the new irrigation methods like drip irrigation, so that the amount of water spent will be less. And we should also build dams, and also cloud seeding can be done to increase the rainfall. And we have to reduce the deforestation and instead increase the afforestation, so that the ability of the soil to hold water will be increasing. So far we have discussed about few natural phenomena. Now let us go into another natural phenomena, that is tsunami. This is the last one which we are discussing in this. Tsunami, how the tsunami forms. We have seen there are many tsunamis around the world, and major ones are also have noted. But now how tsunami forms. Earthquake or an undersea landslide will displace the water. You can see there is an image, it will displace the water, and water will, because there is a displacement of the water, what will happen, water will be pushed by up from other directions through in form of a long waves from other directions to fill in that place, and then the waves will travel fast across the ocean with this little height in the ocean. But when it reaches the shore, the waves will grow in the height and will cause the flooding in the shores or the coastal regions. So very long sea waves with very long distance between the crests will travel with high speed and will reach the shore, and there the height will be more, and because of that there will be a flooding. And traveling, these waves will travel with a very high speed depending upon the water depth, and these are mostly generated due to the earthquakes or submarine landslides, and can reach the coastal areas in minutes. And most destructive tsunamis are triggered by earthquakes of magnitude 7.5 or above. So below that, if any tremor or earthquake occurs in the water also, it may not lead to the tsunami, or it may lead to a minor one but not much destructive one. But if the earthquake is with a greater magnitude that is above 7.5, then it may lead to tsunami. So far we have discussed about various natural phenomena and how they are occurring and why they are occurring, and also what is the scientific process behind those. All those we have discussed. Now let us quickly solve some previous year's questions from the CTET paper 2 science section. Here is the first question. Earthquakes are measured on a scale called. So the first option is seismograph, then the second option is Reamer scale, and third is Richard scale, and fourth is none of the above. So let us first rule out the three options, then we can think about the fourth option. Seismograph, it is not measured on the scale, it is an instrument used to measure the effect or the level of the earthquake. So the option 1 is ruled out, and option 2, that is Reamer scale, that is also ruled out. Now we have the third option, that is a Richard scale, and which is the correct answer for this question. So the option 4, none of the above, is also ruled out because the answer is option 3, Richard scale. Earthquakes are measured on a scale called Richard scale, and we have also seen if the Richard scale shows above 7, that means it is a earthquake with a serious impact. Consider the following terms: lightning, landslide, thundering, tsunami, floods. So earthquake can cause. So there are 5 natural phenomena that are given in the question, and they are asking earthquake can cause which of these natural phenomena that are observed. So here if we see, landslide can be caused by earthquake, thundering cannot be caused by earthquake, tsunami can be caused, and floods can be caused. Lightning and thundering has nothing to do with the earthquake because that is all the surface, or it is all forming in the air. So here the answer is B, D and E. Landslide, tsunami and floods. So the correct answer is option 1. Now let's go to the next question. Which of the following places in India is most likely to affected by the cyclones? If you see, the options are Amritsar, Puri, Udaipur and Badrinath. And we have also discussed, when we are discussing about cyclone, there are some places in India which are more prone to the cyclone, and Puri is located in Orissa and thus is more prone to the cyclones, being a coastal city. If you observe, Amritsar, Udaipur as well as Badrinath, none of these are coastal cities, they are more on the other side. So only option here is Puri, that is the correct answer will be Puri. Which of the following places in India is most likely to affected by cyclone is Puri. That is option 2 below. Sudden shaking or trembling of the earth which lasts for a very short time is called an earthquake. Yeah, that the option is, the statement made is correct. Then fragmented outermost layers of earth collide or brush past each other. As we have discussed, the earth's outer layer is made up of plates and they continuously move and collide and brush past each other. So this statement is also correct, and the second statement is also explaining the first statement, because of the movement of this outermost layers only the earthquake is caused. And the first statement is saying about how the earthquake phenomena is happening. So that means statement 1 is true, statement 2 is also true, and statement 2 is the correct explanation of the statement 1. So the correct answer will be, if you see in the option 1, it is said statement 1 is true but statement 2 is false. So that is an incorrect. And statement 2 is true but statement 1 is false. That is also incorrect. And in the third option, you are having both statements are true but statement 2 is not a correct explanation of statement 1. That is also incorrect. So the correct option is both statements are true and statement 2 is the correct explanation of statement 1. So these kind of questions also will be seen in CTET paper along with the MCQ type, that is like assertion and reasoning kind of questions. Now next question is, the movement of air from a high pressure area to the low pressure area is called, you might have already got the answer, that is wind. It has nothing to do with cyclone, lightning or tsunami. The answer is wind. Now the next question, earthquakes are most likely to occur near forest regions, plate boundaries, river valleys and desert. Already you might have guessed the answer for this also. It is plate boundaries, because earthquakes are caused mostly by the movement in the tectonic plates. So that is the correct answer, plate boundaries. The next question is, during lightning the safest place is under tree, open playground, inside a closed vehicle, near water bodies. During the lightning we have to avoid staying under a tree, also in an open playground, also near the water bodies, because we might be, the chances of getting hit by the lightning will be more if we are on an open ground, under the tree or near the water bodies. So the correct answer here is inside a closed vehicle. So during the lightning the safest place is inside a closed vehicle. So this answer is for only this 4 options. Among that, this third one is the most appropriate or most suitable answer for this question. The next question is, during the day cool air moves from sea to land. This is called, so they are asking sea to land. The air is moving from sea to land. So it is called sea breeze. The correct answer is option 3, because the land breeze, the air moves from land to sea, and in the monsoon winds also, the monsoon winds are very seasonal and it may not always happen only during the day. Here the hint is given during the day, and during the day it is always sea breeze. So the answer is option 3. And the next question is, during a thunderstorm, a student standing in an open field notices his hair standing up. What should he do immediately? So this is also discussed during when we are discussing about thunderstorm. This is a sign that it is going to hit the lightning. That means if we observe our hair is standing up, that means we are mostly we are going to see the lightning will be hitting soon. The correct answer for this question is the third option, that is crouch low with the head down and hands over the ears. This is the most appropriate answer for this question among the given 4 options. Now with this we are coming to the end of the discussion of the most important concept, that is natural phenomena in CTET paper 2 science section, and today we have discussed various natural phenomena and what are the safety measures we have to follow during the those occurrence of those natural phenomena, and also we have seen how and why this natural phenomena is observed, like how the cyclones are formed, why the thunderstorm is being seen and all this. So with this we will end up this discussion on this topic, and let us meet in the next video with a new topic.